Great. Well, thank you everybody so much for attending tonight's webinar. We greatly appreciate your time. My name is Angela Keel. I am one of the assistant directors here. And again, thank you for joining us for tonight, our presentation about Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages program at Clarkson. We offer both a full master's as well as a certificate program, and we'll go in depth tonight during the presentation about both of these opportunities and what we have available for you. Just some housekeeping items before we start to get into the presentation. If you could please keep yourself muted, we want to make sure that we're able to deliver all the content to you, and any background noise at times can be a little distracting. Also, if you have questions, we are more than happy to answer them. We're going to take questions at the end of the presentation, again, just so that we have time to deliver all the content to you during this webinar. So please feel free to use the chat box, and then we'll address them at the end, as well as you can unmute yourself at the end and we'll address questions then as well. So to get started, so just a little bit of an overview of what we'll go over tonight. Again, my name is Angela, and I'll introduce the other assistant director and very important person within our education department. We're going to learn a little bit more about Clarkson, as well as I said, the program overview, the full master's, as well as the certificate program, and what our student success looks like between these two opportunities as well. At the end, we're going to talk about the admissions process, both with the master's program and the certificate, what documents you need to apply, what type of timelines that you need to keep in mind. And again, we'll have time for Q&A at the end. But again, if you think of a question and you don't want to lose it, make sure to type it in the chat box and we'll be happy to address it at the end. So a lot of very important people that I want to be able to introduce you to and have you see a face here tonight. So starting from left to right, left we have Dr. Karen Gregory. She's actually the director of our TESOL program as well as an assistant professor. Next is Dr. Gretchen Oliver. She is an assistant director of our TESOL programs and teaches as well. And I'll let Nikki introduce herself, who's on tonight's webinar with us.
Hi everyone, I'm Nikki Foley. I am the Assistant Director for all the education programs at Clarkson's Capital Region campus. We also have another program of Masters of Art in Teaching in all the secondary content areas, so we have that as well. But tonight we're just focusing on TESOL, and that's a little bit about my role. But I talk to students from the moment you're applying, along with Angela, to the moment you're graduating and making sure that your certification is all good to go.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Our next individual I'd like to introduce you to is Dr. Catherine Snyder there. She is our chair and associate professor for both of the programs, both for TESOL and our Masters of Arts in Teaching as well. And the last photo you see there is myself. Again, my name is Angela. I'm the Assistant Director of Graduate Admissions and Recruitment, here to assist you with any of your application questions that you may have. And again, we'll go over a little bit later in the presentation, but these are some very important folks and resources that we have here in our education department.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about what are some prerequisites you need for the TESOL MAT program. So if you are coming to us and you need or want to get your master's degree in teaching ESOL, this is what you need. Now, some of you might be here for the certificate program, and we'll get to that in a moment. So you need to come to us with your bachelor's degree, and you need to have had 12 credits in any foreign languages. You could take, let's say, 4 3-credit classes in French, Spanish, Italian, Chinese, American Sign Language, any languages. You could take level 1, or you could take one language, that is Spanish, say, all the way through with all those credits. Or let's say you are a native speaker of another language. You can demonstrate your fluency through testing, and we will direct you to the testing that you would need. But you do need those 12 credits or the testing before starting our program. The other thing that you need to come to us with is a bachelor's degree with a liberal arts course. So you need courses in humanities, the arts, writing, communication, social sciences, and STEM, like a math or science class. And when you apply to the program, our staff will evaluate your transcripts. So when you do apply, it's very important to upload all of your undergraduate transcripts. So whether you've gone to, maybe you've done a mix of colleges, maybe a community college and then maybe another four-year college, maybe you've done some graduate work. So anywhere you've been, we need to see those transcripts. The other thing that we need is a GPA of 3.0 or higher in your undergraduate degree. That has come down from New York State, and that's actually been relaxed a little bit, but that is something that we're trying to uphold in Clarkson to show the level of student that we're looking for to come to our program and become teacher. That's not to say that if you have a 2.95, we're not going to accept you. So that's just one of the pieces. So that's something we can talk about as we go. The other thing that we're looking for is an educational psychology course. We're looking for you to have taken that as an undergraduate. But don't worry if you haven't taken it, because you can do a self-study and an exam just before coming to our program. So if you wanted to do our program in 1 year, which would be a summer start, you can do it on your own in the fall. It's not a course. You wouldn't have to pay for it. It's just a self-study and an exam. Our 2-year students can do the Ed Psych sometime during their first year. The other prerequisite is 4 days of structured observations in K-6 classrooms or 7 through 12 classrooms. And so, you know, not to sidestep the COVID situation that we're in right now, all of our face-to-face observations had to come to a halt, had to pause. So we have organized some virtual observations that our students are using. We have some really high quality videos, and there's some protocols that students are watching those videos, taking notes, and writing up some reflections to go with that. So that also, with the 1-year program that starts in the summer, that has to be done in the spring. But if you are doing the 2-year program starting in the fall, you just do it sometime during that first year of the 2-year program. Sorry about that. Oops, I went too fast. Okay. So the prerequisites for the TESOL program, the certificate in TESOL, is that you already hold a valid K-12 New York State teaching certificate. You need to be a certified teacher already. You also need to have a master's degree already and the 12 credits in foreign languages, or ASL. So just like the master's in TESOL needing the 12 credits in foreign language, for the CAS you need that also. And there's that 3.0 GPA from your undergrad and your grad programs as well. Oh, and make sure you're keeping track of your questions, and please let us know if you have any questions when we get to the end. We'll definitely go back to this. So one of the things we like to talk about is why Clarkson is different from any other program. Well, our program is really a cohort model of support. So whether you start in the fall or and do a 2-year program, or you start in the summer and do a 1-year program, you are with a cohort. So all of our courses are structured in a certain order. So when you're taking the courses, you're going to take them with your classmates, and your faculty is well aware of that. And that's really important because the TESOL courses are all online. I guess we didn't really touch on that yet, but all of the TESOL courses, so you'll be doing it, they're not necessarily on Zoom, they're asynchronous. So asynchronous means you're on the computer doing your work at any other time. But that doesn't mean you don't work with your other classmates. You do a lot of group work, and so you might be on Zoom with your classmates trying to work on a project and getting together, and you're going to learn so many virtual techniques of teaching, our TESOL candidates are really some of the strongest in online teaching because they've been online learning. The program is designed and taught by faculty that have K-12 experience. Even most of our faculty and staff, well, most of our staff even has K-12 experience. I'm not necessarily a faculty member, but I also was an elementary teacher. Our coordinator was a chemistry teacher. But Dr. Gregory and Dr. Oliver, they were both high school teachers, and they both taught foreign languages, but then they both went into E&L and taught that as well. And our adjuncts, all of our adjunct instructors have national board certification, and the adjunct instructors, most of them are still teaching in classrooms. So you really get the benefit from their great experience. Our graduates are reflective and effective teachers, and reflection is really a very big part of a successful teacher, and not just being a successful teacher, but that just making your teaching better year after year. We don't want our students to come to our program, learn some strategies, teach a certain way, and then do that for 30 years. We don't want that to happen. We want you to be reflective and forever always changing and improving and making things better year after year. We are also aligned with New York State and national standards. And one of the best things about our program is that bullet that says full year residency. Our students in the TESOL program, they do a full semester of a residency with a mentor teacher in a K-6 classroom, and then they do another full semester in a 7 through 12 ESL classroom. Now, an ESL classroom is not really like just one classroom. You're really just working together with a mentor teacher. So you might have a caseload of students that you're working with. You might be teaching in your residency in a, I think it's called a sheltered classroom, or you might be a co-teacher. So you might be going into an English class and you're the ENL teacher, and you are working with that English teacher and co-teaching for those ENL students or ELL students that are in the class. All of our students have a faculty advisor. I am also an advisor for all the students as well. You also have a supervisor during your residency, and a supervisor is sometimes a retired teacher. Sometimes it's one of our faculty members, but they actually observe you during your residency at least twice a month. And then everybody has a mentor, and a mentor is the actual teacher of record in a school that works with you on your co-teaching, on your lesson plans, on your professionalism, all the best practices. And this is where we have a little video that talks about how our mentor teachers work with our one-year residency. Keep in mind, this video is about our secondary mentors, but it is very, very, very similar. Thanks, Angela.
The cornerstone of the success of the MAT program is the full year internship, and it's really based on a very simple idea. In order to learn how to be a successful teacher, you have to teach. But we don't just put our students in a classroom and ask them to figure it out. We put our students in a classroom with a highly experienced, highly effective mentor teacher. And that's a very complex and time-consuming process that we go through. Every intern has two very important people, the supervisor and the mentor. The supervisor is seeing more of the big picture and moving the student along during the school year, and the mentor is there for the day-to-day support.
Right from the beginning, we started off co-teaching, so it was a different experience than you would normally get in a student teaching environment.
My mentor has been really instrumental in helping me plan. She goes through each unit with me, what she used to do, and then I can change, adapt, kind of take what she has, add what I want with whatever the unit is that we're doing.
I think they look at the student's personality and experience and really do a great job of matching that up with a mentor. We spent some time in the summer meeting a couple times before the school year, and then from there the student really is thrown into the classroom from the start. They don't sit in the back of the room. They're in the front with me. They're taking a part of the lesson, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour. But the process is great. You know, from day one, we're working hand in hand. We're designing the lessons together. It's not just me creating the lesson for the intern. He or she is right there writing the lesson with me. It's a real collaboration. And that is really what helps these students learn how to be effective teachers.
When a mentee comes into my classroom, we become collaborative right from the get-go. The students come into my classroom and they don't know who the head teacher is and who the mentee is. We start from day one. Every single class we teach together, and we strive for a co-teaching model throughout the whole year. While the mentee will get their own class and be the head of their own class, the students really see us as a partnership, as a team working together.
It inspires these partnerships between teachers and between mentors and interns, and it's so great because everybody has something to teach you and you can learn from everyone. Just a great experience the whole year.
So hopefully you're able to take a look at that video and see some other candidates that have gone through the program, their experiences with our full year residency and what makes it different than some of the other programs and how they conduct their student teaching. I hear time and time again through our candidates how well prepared they feel because of the full year residency and the relationships that they get to build with the students, with the schools that they're in, rather than you're starting to form that relationship and then you get pulled maybe to another district or school. So as Nikki said, really one of our what sets us apart from many of the other programs is that full residency and the tools and resources and the preparedness that really gives you. So in addition to that and ongoing, and what Clarkson, what we do for your teaching career prior to you even graduating. So we have a number of different resources and tools and different people that we utilize in order for you to be successful. So we offer one-on-one career consultation. We have a resume workshop, and that's not just telling you, okay, go to the Career Center and have them look at your resume. We have a gentleman, his name is Bill Jeffers. He is one of our assistant directors in the Career Center, and he is such an instrumental part of this program. He will conduct workshops, but have students work on their elevator pitches and make sure that their cover letters and portfolios are up to par. He's such an integral part of this that we don't just send you to go see him. We will or might advise that, but he will often come into the program and discuss how the Career Center can really help you and be beneficial. You know, recommendations, how to frame those references, career fairs and alumni panels. And then we also, alongside Bill, the entire education department and Bill, we dedicate one day solely to what we call mock interview day. And it's often not mock, while we try to prepare you for interviews. We invite over 80 different administrators, superintendent, HR professionals from district-wide, all of the schools that we have connections with, and our connections are very, very strong here. That we have kudos and really thanks to Nikki Foley, who has a lot of those connections. So we invite those administrators to come in, and we have them sit in panels of 4 or 5, and we have them ask you questions as if you were in a real interview with a district applying for a job for E&L and what to prepare for, and kind of those curveball questions so that you know what the schools may be looking for ahead of time. So a lot of times that mock interview day has actually resulted in job interviews for our candidates or actual offering of jobs. But these are just tools alongside with the resume building, the references, and the mock interview day to make you feel as prepared as possible before graduation so that you have the tools and resources to really sell yourself and be successful in your field. And another statistic that you see down there that we are very proud of within the education department is for the last 4 years, we've had a 100% job placement rate with those going through our program. And I really have to attest to a lot of these, again, the mock interview and other resources that we have in order to assist with that. Oh, I think Mickey wants to comment. She's just muted at the moment, so I want to make sure to get her comments in if I missed anything.
So sorry. Forgot I was muted. Just one more thing I wanted to comment about the mock interview day. And that is that we are not just using administrators from the capital region proper here. We have school partners that come from really sometimes all over the state. We've had folks from the North Country, from Salmon River. We've had folks from Geneva, New York, from that school district. And we've had folks from down in northern Westchester. They've come up here for the day just to get their look at our candidates because they want to hire our folks. And so that's, we really do have great partnerships with a lot of schools, mostly schools in this area, but we are branching out all over the state and building some relationships throughout the state. There was going to be something else I was thinking about, but I'll come to it later. Thanks, Angela.
Absolutely. If you think of it, please feel free to interrupt me. So just the ongoing of preparedness that we do during your career as well. We don't want to just send you off, graduate, goodbye, you never think of Clarkson again, but we are here to be a resource for you during your career as well. We offer ongoing career consultation. We also offer quite a few alumni network and events, and a lot of these are put on by the education department, where we invite our alumni to come back to campus and enjoy networking and other events that we may put on as well. We also offer one free course to update your learning. So if you want to come back and take a refresher or update, especially with this new wave of online learning going on, we offer a course, one free course to update your learning with our alumni.
Angela, I'll jump in. We're getting ready to we're writing a new program in special ed, so that will be a whole new program that will be extra courses once you all graduate, free courses that you'd be eligible for. Sorry to jump in on you there, Angela.
No, please feel free to. And in addition to that free course, if you refer someone and they enroll in our program, you will get an additional 2 free courses free based on that referral as well. So if you have somebody that's interested in teaching, especially in E&L, this could be an opportunity for you to receive some more free courses as well. We also offer national board certification support as well. We know the rigor of national board, and our department will offer you support if that's something that you want to pursue in your teaching career as well. Lateral career change counseling, as well as compensation negotiation, especially if that's something you've never done before, how to navigate yourself within a district, or if you're looking to change districts or whatever may come up in your career, how we can assist you in regards to negotiating your salary.
So one thing I'm going to add with that also is that our program is really, not to sound silly, but we're really like a big family. Once you're in the program, most students become graduates, and those graduates sometimes become mentors. Sometimes they become adjunct instructors. Sometimes they become supervisors. So we have a couple of supervisors who even graduated from our program many years ago. We have an alumni council. We have folks that just kind of stay around, and you'll know that once you're in our program, we don't want you to just come take our classes and we'll never see you again. We really want you to graduate and be a teacher. We want you to be certified. We want to keep these relationships going. And on the flip side, to be very honest, most of us are parents in the program, and we kind of put the caveat out there that we want to make sure that everyone who we are willing to endorse to be a teacher is really worthy of that job, that we would feel comfortable and happy for our own children to be in your classroom. So we really take it very much to heart. It's very important to us. We're really all educators, all at heart, and And so it's not just about come and take our courses and pay our tuition. We really are trying to build, you know, to build the teaching force into people that are really strong educators. It's just really something that we all feel strongly about. I guess this next slide is mine as well. So this slide right here is one way we can demonstrate what the courses are in the program. And so at the top of the slide, it says the 1-year program. And so again, we could split this into 2 years, but let's say you were going to do the 1-year program. You would start in the summer, and you would start with English grammar, and then you would do in summer session 1. In summer session 2, you would have 2 courses, Foundations of Teaching TESOL and the Curriculum and Methods of Teaching Language. And along with that, you would do a summer practicum. So you would get embedded in a summer school program, and you would have a mentor, and you would do some observation hours and assisting and working with students. Then in the fall, you would be ready, because those summer courses are pretty rigorous, and that's what gets you ready for your residency. So your residency is that blue line across the top, and it's a full line that goes across because you're really in a residency all year. One semester is K to 6, the other semester is 7 to 12, and it could be 7 to 12 first and then K to 6. In the fall semester, along with the residency, you would take Effective Teaching for All Learners. That course, you might actually also be in that same course with our adolescent MAT candidates. You would also take a New York State requirements course that's 0 credits, but it is the bullying course, the child abuse recognition and reporting, as well as drug alcohol abuse. Along with that, you would take teaching and assessment methods, so it's kind of like methods level 2, and you would also take linguistics. In the spring, you would take the modern teacher. Again, that's an ED course, so that would be along some of your classmates might be the adolescent secondary candidates. I love the modern teacher because it really is what the title says. So the modern teacher really talks about education and what's happening in today's world. So we'll talk about trauma-sensitive schools, and right now diversity is a really big topic, racial equity, but as well as other diversity, so neurodiversity, gender diversity, all of that is part of that. And then the other half of that class is all educational technology. So it's very evident right now, but one thing I actually want to say about that is that in the spring, this past spring, we had students taking the modern teacher, and they were really just getting trained in all these online techniques. And our resident teachers were so ready to be at home and teaching from home with their mentor teachers. And so, you know, that class really prepared them, and they were able to help their mentor teachers with all of the technology. Along with that class, you would take the MA TESOL project, which is your research component of your master's, and usually it's an action research project. So you would look at your classroom, your students, and try to think about a problem. You come up with a hypothesis, you do a research review, a curriculum review, or excuse me, a lit review, and then you would collect data on what you think is going to solve your problem. And then there's always a time to present those projects in the end. And then the final course in the spring is TESOL literacy. And so really teaching English to speakers of other languages is mostly about literacy. So that's really important. And you'll learn everything from phonics to vocabulary, reading comprehension, and all of those strategies in there as well. Now, if you wanted to do the program in 2 years, most students start the 2-year program in the fall, and you don't start with residency. You would just start with some of the coursework, probably effective teaching and linguistics. And then in the spring, you would take 2 courses, and most likely that would be modern teacher and literacy. Then you would do the summer, all those summer courses. Then your second year, you would do the residency along with 1 course on top of that. This page also has little notes on it about the field experiences. Those are the observations practicum. and whatnot, and as well as the New York State exams that have to be taken when you want to get certified. So our program is a program pathway towards certification, and that means that when you graduate, we recommend you for certification to New York State, and that's actually one of my roles, and my colleague Leanne. We're certification officers, so we pretty much divide up the names and we go into the New York State teach system and we do all of the recommendations for certification. But your job as a student is to get at least a B, average or higher, as well as pass the New York State exams. And we go through, we go through, this is what you do, this is when you do it, this is how you do it. And so your faculty will work with you on that as well. Go to the next slide. So the Certificate of Advanced Study in TESOL. This is the program that is for folks who are already certified teachers. So maybe you're an elementary teacher, maybe you're a special ed teacher, or a high school foreign language teacher, history teacher. You need to have that teaching degree to get the certificate. The certificate is only 16 credits. It can be completed in 1 year. Some people do it in 2 years. And then in a moment, I'll show you the slide with the diagram. Again, they're online classes, and it's mostly asynchronous. I will say all the courses in the program, as much as they're asynchronous, your faculty, and you saw those pictures of Karen and Gretchen, the director and assistant director, they are such amazing faculty members. They talk to the students all the time. They set up Zooms. They have their phone numbers. They really communicate with them, and they're always available. They have office hours, but they're always available as well. The coursework for the CAS are a lot of the components that are in the Masters in TESOL program. So it is intensive. There's 3 courses in the summer with a clinical practicum. And so if you're already a teacher and you're working as a teacher, it's really hard to do some of your work during the school year. So the summer is very intense. 2 courses in the fall, 1 in the spring, and so on. Let's see, mentored residency. So the mentored residency is built into the summer coursework. Often you'll do some practicum in the first summer, and then you'll do a residency in the second summer. I'm going to switch to the next slide that shows the diagram. So here's the diagram. If you're doing this in 1 year, often people start with the summer. They do those 2 courses. The grammar is in summer session 1. Curriculum and methods is in summer session 2, along with this residency component. Then during this school year, you would do 60 hours of observation at the elementary and the secondary levels. Some of that might be some videos. Some of it might be during your planning block. You might be observing a colleague, or some of our folks are hired as ESL teachers before they have the ESL certificate. So they're actually getting that. Or maybe they're a co-teacher. Maybe you're the history teacher and you have an ENL teacher who's co-teaching with you. All of that kind of can work for these observations. So along with those observations, there's the linguistics class and the methods class. And then in the spring is the literacy course. So our certificate candidates are also in classes with our MAT candidates, our Masters in Teaching ESOL candidates. So you'll be mixing, and that is really nice because the existing teachers get to have new teachers in with them and share some of their knowledge. And then the new teachers just have such energy, and that really helps the folks who are already teachers. And this really gets to be a nice working relationship. Students like it, the faculty likes it. It's really great. Okay. Slide. So this is just another piece. We like to share this quote. I'd rather not read it out loud because you've heard my voice enough. So I'm going to give you just a moment to read this to yourselves. But Maddie was one of our first students in the program when we just got it started a couple of years ago. She actually first came to us and said, I want to be a Spanish teacher. And then we actually got approved for the TESOL program, and she kind of flipped her idea and said, you know, I think I really want to work with English learners. So she flipped to that program. And she just absolutely loves it, and she lights up in the classroom. You know, in this, she says she's considering adding a Spanish certificate to her degree. So she might add that later. But that helps me to bring up the fact that that is another program that we just got approved from New York State, is a dual certificate program in Masters of Teaching Adolescent in a subject area with the TESOL program. Now, whereas our regular MAT program could be done in 1 year, if you were going to do the dual certificate program, it would definitely be a 2-year program, or it could even be a 3-year program. But if you wanted to come out with a dual certificate in ESOL plus social studies, ESOL plus chemistry, ESOL plus French, that is really, we just got the approval. We don't even have any documents. We don't have any marketing materials. But that if you do come to the program for ESOL and you wanted to do another content area on top of that, that's something that we could talk about once you were starting the program. We could flip that to the dual certificate program. I think you're up, Angela. Let me switch to the slide. There you go.
Thank you, Nikki. So as you've heard Nikki and I discuss about what makes Clarkson different and how do we stack up, I want to just go over quickly some of these stats with you. And the reason why is because I really challenge you that if you're looking at other programs for ENL or teaching or certifications, that you ask them these questions, because we're very transparent about our statistics where other schools may not be. And again, I just challenge you to ask these questions to them to see where their placement and their statistic rates may be. So for us, 93% of our alumni are still teaching after 5 years. With other programs, that really ranges. It could be anywhere from 50 to 80% are still teaching. So I think that really speaks to not only our program, but how much our alumni are coming back and how much full circle it really is. Especially that Nikki talked about, that sometimes the mentee becomes the mentor, becomes the advisor or the supervisor, and it's really full circle. The great thing about that too is a lot of times if your mentor is a previous mentee, they understand some of the challenges and struggles and heartache that you may be going through and can relate in that aspect about the program. But 93% of our alumni are still teaching after 5 years. Another statistic we're very proud of is 95% on a first time pass rate on the certification exams. Again, that really ranges with other programs, but we really pride ourselves within the program to give you the necessary tools and resources to be able to pass those the first time. We realize sometimes cost is a factor with students. Taking those multiple times can be very costly, and we want you to be successful on those so that you kind of have that under your belt and you're able to keep going through the program. What I think is really great about this program too is they've instrumentally placed some courses throughout the program, and then we'll suggest after you've taken this course, I would suggest that you take your content specialty test so that you have the resources from that course to be able to kind of pull it over onto your certification exam and be successful about that. 100% of our faculty and staff are with PK through 12 teaching experience. Like Nikki said, all the way down to our coordinators have been previous teachers. And when we were back in our building, I've seen a lot of our candidates, go to our coordinators or other staff members to kind of just draw on their experiences and what they did during their time at teaching. So we're very lucky within the education department that we have those individuals who come with that experience, who come with that teaching certifications and can relate to what our candidates are going through and what they're doing. And a statistic I talked about earlier, 100% of our graduates were placed by September. And again, I challenge you to ask the other programs, and if you're looking at other programs, ask these questions because they're important, that you're investing in your education and to further yourself, that you're not only getting a return on that investment as well. So again, I challenge you to ask these questions. We're very transparent at Clarkson, and we're very proud of these statistics as well. So just to talk about a little bit of a couple of the scholarship opportunities that we have through the TESOL program, we do offer a couple of different opportunities. The great thing about, I should start off with our scholarship opportunities, is that you do not need to fill out a separate scholarship application. A lot of times students are worried about, okay, I have to fill out all the application materials plus anything for a scholarship. You'll be considered for any of these scholarship opportunities along with a completed application. So a couple of the ones that we offer is, we were awarded by New York State a clinically rich, intense Teacher Institute grant. We award this to 20 students per year, and I must say it's really on a first come, first served basis. So later in the presentation, I'll really stress about getting your materials into us, not only so that you can get your decision, but the real important part, so that if you're eligible for these scholarships, we can relay that to you sooner rather than later. As we just start to distribute scholarships, the pot gets smaller and smaller, and again, 20 are qualified, and we want to make sure that if you are one of those qualified candidates, that we're able to distribute some of these scholarship opportunities for you as well. Again, the purpose of that particular grant is to meet the growing demand for E&L teachers throughout New York State, and that they're awarded this particular scholarship for completing that certification and to meet that need that we're looking for. We also have another grant known as the Black Educators Initiative. It's for Tomorrow's Teachers Today. A little bit of a mouthful there, but that grant, and similar in the fact that the clinically rich, we do offer a scholarship amount. We're often able to match it and again, kind of help offset some of the total costs for you. Nikki, am I missing anything or anything additional you'd like to add about these scholarships?
Yeah, so just the Clinically Rich Intensive Teacher Institute, and we really refer to it as CRITI. It's just a little easier that way. That is grant money that comes to us, and then we match those grant funds with an additional scholarship. So that scholarship can be upwards of, $6,000 to $8,000. But there are some ties that you have to agree to. You have to agree to teach in a New York State school for, I think it's up to 4 years. The Black Educators Initiative, that's more of a nationwide grant, and those are for black educators. That grant comes with some stipend and some tuition support as well as an option to have a loan that is called I wish I had the name for it. I should have remembered this. It's a special loan where then you pay back once you get your teaching job.
Folks, that's known as the income share agreement.
Income shared agreement. That's right. Thank you, Angela.
So those are just a couple of the scholarship opportunities that we offer through this particular program as well. And again, if you'd like more details or follow up about it, please reach out to Nikki or I. We're more than happy to go more in depth if you have further questions about any of the scholarship opportunities.
Yeah. Sometimes it's very individual, so we'll talk about those, as well as we also have just department level scholarship as well. So we'll look at your need and your merit. So if you come to us as a really strong student, you might get some additional scholarship as well.
Thank you, Nikki. So just going into some of the admission requirements, first thing I want to start off with is deadlines. So if you like everything that you're hearing today and you're roaring to go with your application, just some deadlines to take in consideration. I'm actually going to start with the middle one. If you're thinking about our upcoming fall semester, we've kind of strategically placed this webinar to kind of be a voice and say, if you like everything you're hearing today, we really encourage you to start your application. We're looking at applications to be in no later by the 31st. The reason why is this gives our committee enough time to really review as a candidate and give your credentials the time and consideration they deserve, since you've taken the effort to put all this together. So if you're thinking about this upcoming fall, let us know and start that application. I cannot stress that enough. Again, kind of reverting back to the scholarship opportunities. As we start to receive applications, those scholarship opportunities start to dwindle. So we want to make sure that you have every opportunity if you're eligible for those, as well as that we can give your application the time and consideration that it deserves.
I will say, Angela, if their application is in by July 31st, they will most definitely also have an answer within 2 weeks, but most likely
Correct.
sooner. Most likely sooner. We also, I know Angela's going to get to it, but part of the application is an interview. So we want to make sure we have time to have those interviews completed as well. So we want to make sure we get everything in.
Yes, no, thank you very much, Nikki. Great point. And I'll just go over in our next slide there, but please take these deadlines into consideration and the seriousness. We really try to abide by these deadlines so that we're able to give applications the time and consideration it deserves, as well as the scholarships.
You know, Angela, I just noticed something on this slide and we didn't catch it. I know we reviewed it a couple of times, as did our colleagues, but this last one says students applying to the CAS program beginning in the spring. That really, I think our MAT students can also start in the spring as well.
Absolutely.
So that, you know, that probably should say that. Also, I think they can only start with one course in the spring, though. I don't know if they could start with both courses. So if you're thinking
the full master's in the spring too, yes, please don't let that on that slide there deter you if you're thinking of a spring start or an upcoming fall start, or if the 1 year too is something that may be of interest to you as well. So just to go over here, you'll see on your left-hand side there has all the general requirements for the full master's, what we're going to need admission-wise, and on your right-hand side has all the requirements that we'll need for the certificate. So I'm kind of going to go through them dually, and obviously if there's questions at the end, we can answer them. So we need an application for both. That link there will bring you to the online application, and when you go through, it'll basically ask for your, biodemographical information, your name, just to kind of fill out what program you're interested in. Your statement of purpose we'll need for both programs, whatever one you decide to apply for. That is really and truly what I like to call your narrative and your voice on the application. Everything else kind of speaks for you, your letters of rec, your transcripts, resume, anything else. This allows you to have a voice on the application to convey to the graduate committee why this particular program, why Clarkson, maybe some long-term goals that you have, why you're looking to add the certificate to your portfolio. Usually it's no more than 2 pages that we're looking for, but again, this is really your chance to tell us why. I often will let students know too that students sometimes want to convey to us or to the graduate committee why they had a bad semester or something went on personally. This is the area and the application that I encourage them to write that. So if you, had a bad semester on your transcript, but it doesn't reflect who you are now as a person, if that was a long time ago, a year ago, your statement of purpose would really be the place to write that. But again, the true purpose of it is to tell us why in your voice, essentially. Your resume is your, we want to see your professional background. So any jobs that you've held, if you're currently teaching, any part-time jobs, just what your professional background and what you bring. The letters of recommendation. Now for the full master's, we're going to require 3. We only require 2 for the certificate. And we do want those to be academic and professional references. I'm sure mom and dad would say lovely things about you, but we ask they not be from family and friends. We really want to see those that can attest and attribute to your professional needs. A lot of times I'll get questions on who I can ask. You can ask a former professor that you've maybe had in your class and has seen your growth. For the certificate, I often will have applicants maybe ask their superintendent or a fellow teacher or colleague that they can ask to write that letter of recommendation for them. We're also going to need, and excuse me, Nikki mentioned it earlier, we need all your transcripts. So if you did community college for 2 years, 1 year, and then transfer, or maybe you transferred to multiple schools, we will need all the transcripts from all of those institutions. However, the great thing about Clarkson is we'll actually accept the unofficial transcripts for reading purposes. So what I usually recommend is if you have access to the unofficial, upload those into your application and then simultaneously request the official from the school or university that you attended. This way your application's not being held up by requesting that official, and you've kind of done already two things that are needed, because should you be accepted into the program, we are going to need those official transcripts eventually. So if you have access to unofficial, great. If you don't, request that official to us, and we can make sure that that gets uploaded into your application there. So this one requirement, oh, go ahead, Nikki.
Sorry, Angela. Sometimes we, if you've had high school, college in the high school credits, and you've taken a foreign language, you know, and you got 3 college credits because you took Spanish 5, we'll need that high school transcript as well, because for your programs, you need to have those 12 credits of foreign language. So sometimes if that's where you got 3 of your credits, if you did it through high school, and maybe it's high school through college in the high school, and it was UAlbany or Syracuse, we need that. You need to reach out to that college and get that transcript. And so even if it was 20 years ago, that college will, we promise, will still have your transcripts. You have your identifying information with it, and you just have to reach out to them.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for that point. I appreciate it. So one differentiator that you probably see here on the full master's versus the certificate. So if you are applying to our full master's program, it is a New York State requirement to have a GRE, or what we also will take in lieu of a GRE is known as the Miller Analogies Test. Now, I do want to address, given the pandemic, we've had a lot of questions come in about this particular exam. And what the education department and at Clarkson, what we are doing is we are temporarily putting that requirement on hold. It does not mean that we are waiving it. What that means is we'll have you apply and upload all the other remaining materials that we need. Hopefully, when we are back to normal, things start to open up, those testing centers start to open up, we will ask as part of your acceptance that at a later time, you take that exam. We often too, within our department, will encourage you to take the Miller Analogies test for a couple different reasons. The GRE is kind of all encumbering. It has, you know, different sections. It can take a little bit longer as well to take. The Miller Analogies is 125 analogies, but they're all computer-based. So it's a 1-hour test that you take with 125 different analogies. So the common one I like to use is as winter is to cold, as hot is to summer. They may not be that easy, but they'll start off easy, and as they progress, they'll get a little bit harder, and you're able to take that test as well. We will take. We also offer it at our campus at the Schenectady location. Due to the pandemic, we're closed right now, but should we open, we'll start resuming different test dates that we can offer. So if you're local to us, you can actually take the Miller Analogies at our campus and kind of check that off. But again, due to the pandemic, we are making sure to be very sensitive to that, and we don't want that to be an obstacle or to uphold your application. So if you're thinking the full master's, just bear with us. That's on hold. We might ask you to take, we will ask you to take it at a later time. The certificate now, you don't see that on that as that requirement. We do not require the GRE or Miller Analogies test. However, again, we do require that proof of your current New York State initial certification in another discipline. So you can just upload that to our application to show us proof, and that kind of checks off that checkbox as well. Nikki, did I miss anything with the Miller Analogies or GRE that you wanted to add?
No, I think you covered it, Angela. The Miller Analogies, it's yeah, I recommend it. It's also cheaper. Did you mention that? The GRE could be about $250, and the Miller Analogies test is, you know, we charge $100 for it. I don't know what it costs in other places, but probably something around that price. And you get your results right away. So that's also very helpful as well.
Thank you. I did not mention the cost, which is one of the many reasons too that I was listing prior, so thank you. So one of the last requirements too is we do require an interview. Typically we take a two-pronged approach with the interview. So you will typically meet with Nikki Foley, who's on the webinar today, just kind of discuss the program. We also kind of like to discuss what type of time frame you're looking at and works for you, just to have that information ahead of time. So you'll meet with her for a little bit more of an informal interview. And then the second part is we have you interview with a faculty member to sit down with them to discuss more questions in depth. And that's much more of a formal interview with them. We are conducting those virtually right now, but that is a part of the requirement, both for the full master's and for the certificate students.
Right.
Well.
Actually, Angela, for the certificate, they bypass the interview with me. If you're already a teacher and you're doing the CAS, you'll have your interview with Dr. Gregory or Dr. Oliver, and you will kind of skip right by me. Yes. I'm always available for questions if you have any questions as well, and I'm happy to meet with people as needed. But just so you know.
Lastly, too, if you're an international student at all, a TOEFL or IELTS is required as part of the full master's program. I do just want to draw your attention to the bottom there. That is our contact information in the admissions office. If you have questions, you can always email that inbox. I'm happy to answer them, or call that main line. We are still doing phone calls even at home, but if you would like to email us, please feel free to. We're happy to answer any questions, or if you have specifics about these application requirements, let me know. I'm always more than happy to go over them with you.